Hi, this is Vaughn Becker. This is a short video on what we can do with Qualtrics with regard to online experiment design that we cannot do in Question Pro or REDCap, at least not at this point. For simple surveys, of course, I think everybody should be migrating to Question Pro. But for JavaScript-based experiments, no other option can do what Qualtrics can do. Aside from embedding these in HTML pages, but then you have to be hosting your own server and have your own backend data collection. And so I figured out ways to use Qualtrics with JavaScript to accomplish amazing things. And what this leads to is engaging interactive experiments for ASU online students and other students. Not only HSE 101, 223, 224, 324, but my graduate students uh, at both the Poly campus and Human Systems Engineering and in psychology, Tempe Psychology, use these methodologies. Now, right now, there's about 50 of these methods, and we can just plug new images or stimuli in, make a few code adjustments, and we've got whole new studies that we can run. The beautiful thing about the Qualtrics component is that it can handle the databasing and the archiving. Eventually, Question Pro and REDCap can too, but they can't do it now. I've been in touch with them. I've looked at REDCap in particular for their JavaScript stuff. It's just too primitive. So let me show you what we're talking about here. First of all, here is a study using Sternberg memory scanning, which is widely used in neuroscience to assess declines in memory as a function of age, drugs, all sorts of things. I have to commit these two faces to memory, and then I'm going to get one face. It'll be what's called a probe face. Was that in the memory set or not? Not in the memory set. Not, yes. And I made a mistake there. This is getting accuracy and reaction time. Everything is happening within a single question. Here's the JavaScript, well, here's the HTML making all the buttons and stuff, but then here's this JavaScript, and it's actually randomly selecting faces, it's counterbalancing things, everything, all these experimental design elements are happening within this code here, and students can use this with new images to run another study, or words or letters, to use another example, to run studies. I can give this to my students in 101. They can run through it. They're like, oh, I could remember that face, but not that face. And I can give them an aggregated version of the results. This brings the science of cognitive science, psychological science, and human systems engineering alive. And that's why I think we need to keep it. Let me just give you another example. For qualitative data collection, one of the most important things that we want to be able to do is have people move things around in a canvas space and tell us how similar or cluster things according to categories that they like to use. And so in collaboration with my Humboldt Fellowship supervisors at University of Cologne and Heidelberg, I'm an Alexander von Humboldt fellow now. We took this, they developed it initially, I did some more with it. And this method allows students to move things around on a screen, give a qualitative assessment of the groupings that they would use or the social distance that they would use, but it records all of this data. And we can then go in and do multidimensional scaling analysis, pathfinder analysis, machine learning, all sorts of things on the results. So that's another example. Let me just give you one final example here. As you can see, I've got 242 or even more projects in here, a bunch of people collaborating with me. But let's just look at, here's a study that we did looking at first responders and their cognitive fatigue. And in this is another standard executive functioning measure. How many letters can you hold in your memory and then reorder in ascending order? This is called reordering span. I think I missed the first one there. Let's see if I Yeah, not bad. Every time I get it right, it titrates up, adds a new letter. Every time I get it wrong, it goes down. So there's titration happening here. These buttons are a method of data collection that we can't get in any other methodology. And all of this is being done within a single question using JavaScript. All sorts of insights can be gained by using this kind of method. So I think that this allows us to, each semester, each class, the students run through one or two of these things. I then talk to them about the results. It brings the science alive, but you can also collect data. So if I look at, no, I got to do it this way. If I look at my Google Scholar page, everything that you see here that's an empirical study, with the exception of these theory pieces here, used Qualtrics with some of these methods. It's one of the primary ways that I collaborate with all these folks here, and so there's lots of reasons to keep this alive. But in the future, what we probably want to do is develop something more independent. As I said, all of these are JavaScript based. We put them in an HTML, and we come up with some way to make the back end part easy. And we should be able to generate at ASU an alternative to Question Pro or any of these other things. If you just want to do a survey, sure, use that. But if you are teaching at ASU online or in Fulton, or you want to do research with people and you want to do it online, we can develop these methods. But I would need some protected time, and I would need resources, people that can develop the back-end programming. We can do usability analysis of how easy it is for students to adopt these things. And we could come up with systems where we have 50 or so basic designs for assessment, or let's just start with something like, 6 or 7 basic designs for assessment, classic cognitive studies, and allow people to swap in different content, use other sorts of manipulations, add other types of survey elements so that you get subject level variables that could explain results. There's just a host of possible things to do with this. Going back to this briefly, this letter reordering is a measure of executive functioning that we designed to be a very efficient method to collect data about cognitive fatigue in first responders, emergency room physicians, chemotherapy patients, maybe even military applications. We could just have students coming through the graduate program take these things and go out and run them in different places and develop all sorts of new knowledge. So there's a tremendous opportunity here. I'll close by pointing out Chris Fraley at University of Chicago wrote a book about 2004 about how to do this. He stopped updating it because the back-end technology changed too much. But we can not only update this, but go much further. He gets into reaction times. We can go much further than reaction times, and we could develop a protocol for conducting research on the internet that bypasses all of these. So that's what I'm willing to offer you. Give me some opportunity to continue to use this in my class. Give me some protected time and some resources from Ed Plus or Fulton, and let's put something together that can do this. So in conclusion, please consider that not everyone uses Qualtrics in a basic way. There are some real sophisticated uses. My colleagues in HSE and in Tempe Psych and Speech and Hearing Sciences and in music all use these methodologies. More generally, consider how the knowledge generation that we've developed is going to be compromised as we try to transition quickly. And consider the collaborations with other universities that are undermined. Finally, recognize the considerable intellectual capital that could be shared with future students. So, my proposal, keep Qualtrics active for now, at least for me and for some others, I would hope. And in that time, let's build something equivalent. Give me some resources, some protected time, and ASU could have something that goes far beyond the existing options, even in Qualtrics. Thank you very much for your time. Vaughn.becker@asu.edu if you have any questions.